it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Welcome to the Muscle, Mind, and Money Podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Dominic.
And this is Nastasia. Now on to the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else that's listening, we are back and we are better than ever. Episode number 12.
Woo!
On a happy, beautiful Saturday afternoon. We're even recording this one on video. And so that could be out on YouTube soon. So you'll see where the beautiful Cole Harbor Studios are.
Oh, yeah.
It's about a 100 by 100 square foot room. But we're back, and we'd love to have a discussion today about some in the last week we've come across and worked with a performance coach on your mind. And if you think about it, our title of our podcast is Muscle, Mind, and Money. And the mind portion is there's personal trainers to help you with the muscle. You can hire financial advisors and business coaches to help you with the money. But I'd say the end of last year, middle of actually last year, I had sought out, because we were reading some of the Joe Dispenza books.
Yes.
You were reading Nastasia.
You Are the Placebo.
And I was reading Supernatural.
Yep.
And stumbled across, and we started to look through, well, Joe Dispenza, for those that know him, is a neuroscientist, former chiropractor. He's got a bunch of books out, from Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself to The Placebo. And he does I think somehow he's in his teachings are with the NCS group of neuroscience coaching something. And we can put that in the notes. But I had sought out to see, okay, well, if they do performance coaching for big businesses, what could they do for small individuals? And came across this performance coach here in Canada named Amy Kapal, and started conversations with her last summer. And then knowing that we were going through a transitional period with her life, she said, hey, at the beginning of next year, 2020, let me schedule a trip out from Toronto. I'll meet with you and Nastasia privately. Yeah. We'll set up like what I do for a big group. I'll do just you two, and we'll do some performance coaching really around your mood. If you think about it, your personality, thoughts, actions, feelings. And we've been anticipating and excited. And last weekend we had a chance to sit down for 9 hours with her and go through a whole complete comprehensive workbook. But basically we hired a mind coach, not a psychologist, not someone that's in psychiatric, but someone that's there just to help coach you through teachings really based on Joe Dispenza, to help you break your mood, help you with your temperament, change your thoughts, change your feelings, so you put you in control of any circumstance. We felt it was appropriate to bring it up in this podcast because of the current pandemic that's been announced this last week.
Yeah. So how many of you have had an emotional reaction of some sort to the outside situation going on? I think it's hard to say that we haven't. And most of us most likely are going more into an emotional reaction of panic or fear or worry. And these are all draining, negative emotions. They're not positive, uplifting, encouraging emotions. And so today we want to talk about, hey, this emotion can start as a mood, but what we need to all be very cognizant about is that we're catching it at a mood and it doesn't turn into a temperament and then therefore turn into actually your personality, because there's so many outside forces going on right now that are influencing us. I think that we need to be listening to the positive things and listening to ourselves and working on how we can react emotionally to this situation in our life positively, because emotional reactions are proven physically and chemically to change your body. So the more you're reacting emotionally negatively, the more you're actually changing the chemicals in your body to move into like move into a survival mode, not into a creation mode. And we want to catch that and bring awareness to it now and give you some tools of how you can help. So first, I think we can start off by explaining this whole idea around how emotional reactions create different states of being, and they're progressive states of being. So as I just mentioned, it starts as a mood, it moves to a temperament, and then it falls into a personality trait. So a mood. We can all be in a mood. So let's walk through what being in a mood is.
Well, yeah, let's even take just the state of current of affairs. So this week, I think everyone's mood, including yours and mine, is based on scarcity, is based on a lack of limited information about what's happening with a certain virus, how it's going to impact the world. So we react and we get in this mood. So a mood can be various things. It can be a happy mood, can be a mood of anger, can be a mood of fear. And I would say the world's in a mood of fear, including us. So then what happens with reactions that you naturally start to do? Toilet paper gets completely bought out at most stores. Food starts to get stockpiled. Like we don't know. So lack of information, lack of thinking puts us in a mood of fear, even though if you were to ask each other, hey, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm okay. And it's not. And where Nastasia is starting with is that when we're in a pandemic, we're in a frustration, we're in a time of mood, especially the negative ones, where she had mentioned that chemically react when we're negative, our bodies really like the negative because it gives us control. It drives those chemical reactions that Nastasia has spoken about of cortisol and adrenaline. And those are the fight or flight hormones that make your eyes pop open, your muscles fill up, and it gives you a sense of urgency and power.
Yeah.
And it's addicting to the brain. It is equally addicting on a level of even some of the narcotics in the world that like we jones over because we're addicted to them. Your body's the same way and your brain becomes the same way. And moods happen all the time. This is a world mood that we're in. But if take the circumstances away, we're not in a world mood. Let's put us back even a couple months ago. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone disrupts your day. Your alarm doesn't go off. You wake up or you become in a mode of panic, which puts you in a bad mood, which should be how long, Nastasia? Because this was some of the biggest training that we took away. Mood should be really a period or forever.
Like hours up to maybe some days. And where most people don't understand, you feel out of control of the mood, but you're actually in full control of your mood. It's called emotional intelligence, identifying that you're in a mood and you're able to change it. So if you have the tools and the practice and you're really doing the mental work, you will become aware that I'm having this bad mood, that I cussed the guy off when he cut me off in traffic, and use tools that we're going to talk to you about a little later on today to redirect and then to rectify that mood. So a couple hours to a couple days. If you surpass that amount of time, now it's not just like I'm in a mood or I'm like having a bad day. Now it's turning into a temperament. So a temperament now is you actually are not controlling the amount of time of your bad mood. And now your bad mood is lingering over a few hours, over a few days, and now it's becoming a few weeks, a few months that I'm having the same feeling that like now I'm just kind of that same angry feeling I got when the guy cut me off in the car. I'm having that same angry feeling like when I'm sitting having a meeting with my employee, when I'm at dinner with my friends. Like it's lingering, and now it's spilling over that emotion into more than just that one situation that happened in the car. So now I'm in a temperament.
In temperaments, so our learnings and takeaways was temperaments. So if mood should be short and period.
Yes.
And so when I say period of like short time frame, and the more control we have over our moods, the shorter the period is. It's called, they call it refractory, which really made sense to me. It was a period of how long are you going to stay in that mindset? Right. Someone cut you off in traffic. Yeah, it pisses you off. You get bad news about you didn't get promoted at work. It should piss you off. Absolutely. Totally. But it should be done with within a very short period of time. If it doesn't, and it lingers and it stays with you, and it starts to become addicted to the adrenaline that you feel from it, because it gets you just pumped up. It gets you fired up. Yes. On a negative level. So oftentimes this is what competition thinks of. They think of something situationally that is bad to get you like, oh, I can do it. Because your animalistic fight or flight kicks in. And when we want to fight, we become very instinctual. Yes. And that starts to prolong. If instead of temper of a mood's just a short period of time, a temper is prolonged. Yes. And that could leave what we learned scar tissue with.
Yeah. And here's part, if you can kind of sew this blanket together. When you have a mood and that chemical change occurs in your body, Dominic explained that oftentimes the chemical change releases cortisol and releases these hormones that make you fired up. Like maybe like a cup of coffee, or I did some boxing. When you move into a temperament, you now start to become addicted to those stress hormones, and you actually need them, which is why now I'm not just pissed off when I'm driving in the car. Now I'm almost seeking different situations with my meeting at work or my dinner with my friends to keep it going, even though in your logical mind you're like, why the fuck would I ever want to do that? It's not a good thing. But in your chemical mind, it's your body starts to become addicted to that, and it happens. So it's like a sneaky snake. You're not putting two and two together if you're not aware, and you just start realizing that now I need to get that fired up, pumped up caffeine feeling off of my emotions. So now I seek it in situations that really before, had I managed my mood, I wouldn't need that kind of temperament.
Yeah, and if I take it back, where as Amy was covering with us, your body's getting addicted to anything. Let's take caffeine, for example. A little bit in the morning, maybe some in the afternoon, kind of keeps you going. And then you start to seek it out. So when I get that energy rush from caffeine, then I start to then look for more, and I want more, and I want more. She put it parallel in the same light of, well, take your mood, and once you get the chemical reaction of like, ooh, this is just going to fire me up, as Nastasia pointed, and then you unconsciously, you become what I call, and I do this, did this, you become a dick. Your temper starts to change. And then you start to seek out and poke and keep that mood going of negativity by, to your point, you had a bad moment at work or a bad moment in a situation in your personal life. And then you get to another situation where there's no preset temper you should walk into, and you're quiet and you're cranky, and you keep your ego keeps feeding your temper to keep it negative. You do that for long enough, and you leave these scar tissues of like, that's just how I need to perform. I need to be aggressive. I need to be angry. I need to be like in control, and a bitch or an asshole or whatever you want to call yourself can now actually start to change your personality.
And then it becomes a personality trait. And so then this lingers on. Now we're talking, it's years of having this redlined emotion, and any like negative emotion, fear, anger, anxiety, judgment, disease, breakdown, energy loss. These are like long-term draining emotions that happen. It becomes your personality. So now that refractory period, now it no longer is just when I'm in the car or in a meeting. It's like my state of being. And it might feel like this dark cloud of something on me, and it turns into actually who I am. So now I'm having these reactionary emotions and these chemical releases. I'm at Starbucks, and the girl helping me is not fast enough, and now I'm getting pissed at her. So it's things that like don't even make logical sense. Dominic is laughing so hard right now because this is literally what happened to me. And having the science and the understanding behind it, I'm like, oh my God, that's what happened to me. I had days turn to weeks, turn to years of this long-standing emotional reaction without control, and it turned into a personality. So your personality trait is now a combination of characteristics and qualities that form into your character. It's a pattern of your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions, your activities that now become a distinguished part of who you are, like it or not. And I share a quick story with you. There was a point in time last year that I had fallen fully into this. And it didn't happen overnight, because if it had happened overnight, it would only still be a mood or a temperament.
Hold on.
What?
Let's get specific. What do you mean you fell into something?
I became a bitch.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to like lay it all out. So I'm sitting on the couch. It was a sunny day. The sun was coming in through our nice windows after work one day. And I'm sitting on the couch. We were both watching a show. I don't remember what it was. And I'm like staring at the TV, but really not watching the show and thinking in my head about all these things that happened that day. It was interactions with my team members that directly reported to me. It was interaction with my boss, with Dominic, literally with the girl at Starbucks, then the neighbor when I was walking in the door. And I had this aha moment that in every interaction, it was some kind of a negative feeling or emotion. The girl at McDonald's, it was McDonald's actually, fucked up and didn't put the Splenda inside my thing. I was pissed. She had to hand it to me. I cussed her out and I was super rude to her. Then it went to the phone call from my team member. Then it went to the meeting. Then it went to my interaction with Dominic. Then it went so on and so forth. You can follow. So I'm sitting on the couch that day and tears start rolling down my face. And Dominic looks at me. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I think I've turned in to a bitch." And now I'm like hyperventilating, crying. And he's like, no, it's not you. It's this, it's that. Just watch. Once we change this, once we change that.
I was just being a good husband.
But no. And then at one point you were like, no, you are a bitch. You did call me out on it. And so I had that moment when I was so far gone. And I knew it in my heart. This isn't who I am. This isn't who I want to be. This isn't me at my core. How in the fuck did I get here? And after learning about the science of it, I really came to realize it actually wasn't me. And it was my inability to have the emotional intelligence to identify the small things that were happening over the years. And I didn't have the tools to course correct and fix them. Therefore, my mood turned into a temperament. My temperament literally turned into my personality. And so with all of this, I don't think that it's fair to expect you're never going to have negative emotions. You will. But the question is, are you aware of them? And then are you working to, number one, limit them, but number two, also actually fundamentally change the way that you're thinking, attach with the emotions that you're feeling, and then create a different outcome? And where you can really know that you've arrived is that if you can go back to that road rage, back to that moment that you got so angry at that person that cut you off, and you can have the same thing happen and it does not emotionally charge you, you no longer get angry. That's when you've arrived and you know that you've conquered that state, that mood. And now that's turned into you ultimately having the wisdom of the experience to know that you're in control and that you're choosing not to react that way. Are
you what you're mentioning now, are you talking about when you think about that moment, you don't get fired up? Because there's two parts to this. One is take a timeline of circumstances that can happen within a year. And we'll share personally with all of you within the last year and a half, we've lost both our mothers. We've been diagnosed with diseases. We've had disruptions at our work, and over a timeline. So these are moments of where it pisses you off, or breaks your heart. It puts you in a mood. It changes your temper, and then prolonged, not dealt with from the initial start of a mood, of a moment that can happen to all of us. Mm-hmm. It starts to change your personality. So that's what Nastasi is bringing up. Over a period is that things aren't dealt with. When you think back to a moment that pisses you off, for example, something happens or breaks your heart, you think of that circumstance. If you still feel, when you think about the past, that it's still that much adrenaline fire up, like you can get really fired up about it, it's still stuck in your body. It's like scar tissue. You haven't completely dissolved it yet.
Yes.
And when you go back and think of the past and it fires you up like it's the present, your body doesn't know any different. It thinks it's happening again, but you're just reflecting on the past. And then so when Nastasi was mentioning, hey, when you can actually know that you're filtering and kind of cleaning this stuff out of your garbage disposal is, you look back, you think back on that moment and you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have reacted that way. I could have been better. That's okay. That's the circumstances where I can see where the light came out versus the darkness. That's when you actually have turned that moment into wisdom.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that same things happen in the future. Someone passes away, someone cuts you off in traffic, you're still going to react. But how can you shorten the period of the reaction?
Yes. And if you can go back to that memory without the emotional charge, like it doesn't increase your cortisol and get you all fired up, you know that you have worked through that. And then that's what we're calling wisdom. if the memory still remains with the emotional charge, it means that there's still a belief or trait that you need to overcome. And it's not about the traffic. It's about the emotion that it triggers. So that might be anger. For me, it's a lot of fear. If I go back to think about that and I'm still going back to that fear, anger, whatever that emotion is, I haven't worked through that. And I need to continue working on it. But Dominic said something really smart here, and I want you to hear it all again. The goal isn't to put pressure on yourself that you never have these things happen. The goal is, hey, when I'm experiencing this, either from my past recall or my current, how do I shorten my refractory period to literally keep it as a mood?
Yeah. If you shorten your disposition, everyone's going to get in a bad mood.
Yeah.
You want to reduce how long of a bad mood you're in so it doesn't turn into a temper, and then a temper doesn't turn into a personality. Mm-hmm. These were really big takeaways from us in our training session, because it makes you start, there's periods of, and we'll get into the next part of the podcast here, is how do I start to identify what can be a mood and how can I shorten it, and how can I get my brain to help me do this? But it's taking times of asking yourself questions of, why did I react so? Why does that still piss me off? Why did I react the way I did? What is it about that situation that's really still lingering from the past that I can start to overcome? These are wisdom questions you have to ask yourself if you're ever going to deal with it. But what it does is conditions you for the future, for the shit we're going to deal with in life, from pandemics to bad days at work to just disruption with your spouse or whatever it is. That's going to actually be short periods that you'll just bulldoze through and keep the positive personality that really, I think if you asked all of us, what do you want to be as a reflection of you? I want to be positive. I want to be upbeat. I want to be optimistic. I want to see the world through the prism of roses versus the prism of shit. Mm-hmm. And that's not what you really want, because what we've been doing is, from the past, thinking about things that still piss us off. It actually changes who we are in the future. It changes our whole outlook to where we look at everything negative.
Yes.
You've changed your reality to where the sky's going to fall today. I just know it because it has in the past, versus, nope, I can control this situation and get through it, and there's a rainbow at the end.
Yeah. When we act during these refractory periods, like when we're in our, maybe in that couple day mood, or we've moved to the temperament or the full personality, the chemicals that are released actually create a gap between what's really happening and what you're perceiving is happening. So have you guys ever felt like everybody was out to get you? Like, she's got this and I'm never going to have anything. I'm never going to have money. There's no way I'm going to get my dream job. Why would they choose me? That's actually those like bad chemicals creating this fucked up, not real perception of reality and putting you in a different place to where you believe things, like the way you believe things are actually aren't how they really are. So for you to be able to limit that period and to be able to control those thoughts is so important, because by not doing that, you're actually creating a perception of like a not real, negative, fake environment. And we want to get you out of that as fast as possible.
Yeah. Something I've taken away from the books that we read about Dr. Joe Dispenza that he's written, and it's, I don't know if he coined this phrase or not, but it's, your personal reality is your personality. Yeah. Your personal reality is your personality. How you see things is really your personality. Mm-hmm. And to shorten the bad times and prolong the good times is where your personality can change. And so something I love about Dr. Joe, he says, hey, even if you're the most heinous person in the world, you have a bad outlook, you got yourself there. You can reverse it.
Yes.
And you can get yourself out of it. You're just going to have to retrain yourself to do so consciously, because unconsciously our bodies have put us there through the chemical reactions of stress. And now we have to like think about it to retrain how we act, to then retrain how we feel to overcome it. So the second portion of where we can get into is all right, if I'm someone that I'm feeling what Dominic and Nastasia are saying, and I understand moods can then set into temper that can totally set into my personality. And I too have been someone of that. Seems like the older we get, the crabbier we get.
Yeah.
And so
or the more scared we get.
Exactly. Just even right now with the pandemic going on, it's not as bad, or it's not as good as we think it is, because of why is that? Why are we reacting the way we are? Well, if you think through it, it's a lack of information. It's a lack of knowledge around it. It's something new. So we act in scarcity. We act just normal instinctual patterns, and we react as such. So then okay, that's something of unknown, but how can I take a known now and actually control it through controlling our moods? And so part of the training that Dr. Joe walks us through is you need to retrain how you respond through thinking first, then acting, and then feeling. When normally we react to how we feel.
And then
we
think or don't think.
and justify how we feel for more of it. So you got to reverse it. So think before you act, and then that will determine how you feel. And that sounds great on paper. It sounds great when people talk about it. But the questions that you have to act, and so something that Dr. Joe taught us, and it's in most of his books, and definitely in his book of Overcoming the Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, is when you think critically and logically, your brain shuts off from the feeling portion, and you can't be pissed anymore in the moment that you think. And so if you have a bad mood, you're in a situation, and then you stop and you start to think about the situation, not reflect on it to get you more pissed, but to actually ask yourself some great critical questions that we'll go through to really expand on, why is this happening to me and how can I benefit from it? Your brain technically shuts off the reaction for wanting more of the stress hormone and starts to use the frontal cortex, the brain that's right above our eyebrows, to critically think through things. And it gives a rest period to the back of the brain, which is wanting you just for more and more and more. And it allows you to break the mood.
We're going to teach you guys what we learned about this change tool, but what I want to clarify, and I hear this a lot and it kind of drives me wild. This isn't about like thinking positive. So even in my situation with my health concerns, people would be like, just think positive. That's not what this is. I can't have this negative feeling tied to a negative emotion because of my negative thinking and then just tell myself, stop thinking that way. This tool takes the work of actually changing how you think. So that's two different things. Not like just think positive. It's, hey, address that negative feeling, thought, emotion, work through the other choices that are available to you, understand why you're having that, and then start to create a different way of acting and thinking from that. So it's not just like, oh, stupid brain, stop doing that. It's, hey, why am I doing that? I'm reacting that way again. We're going to give you a list of questions to go through to identify, do the work to slowly start progressing yourself into a changed way of thinking, not just, hey, go think positive.
Yeah, and there was quite a few questions that Amy went through with us, because that was the 8 hours we spent with her was really reconditioning us to understand you don't want to think a certain way. You don't want negative actions. You definitely don't want negative feelings from it. So how can you give yourself tools and resources to break those moods? And what are some of the best questions that you took away from our training?
So from our training, in the moment that I'm having, and for me, I used the emotion of fear. And for me, fear can come either on health and on really serious things, or I jump to fear even if I hit an obstacle. I go into this mode of like, what if? Like, what if it doesn't work? What if this happens? What if this happens? Instead of this mindset of, now I hit an obstacle, what opportunities and what door could this open and how can I look at this? So some things that have really helped me are like, what is self-limiting through when I have this emotion? What am I limiting myself on? So as I have the fear, what am I limiting myself on? Next is, what negative or unproductive things happen after I say, what if, or I'm scared, or these fear feelings. Okay. The next is, why am I feeling this way? Is it coming out of frustration? Is it coming out of anger? Is it coming out of unhappiness? Why am I feeling that feeling of this fear or this what if? What are some of the unhealthy behaviors that come to me after I'm having these feelings? And am I really scared? And sometimes now I'm even starting to change that what if. So all of my what ifs go down the negative. I start to work myself through, what if this opened another opportunity? What if this did work? What if we could start doing like a different plan of attack and this opens up different doors? So then I'm starting to put myself in a mode, instead of what if this doesn't work, I move to like the what if this does work. And I start to get my mind going into these other options. And that requires, though, creativity.
It does. So what Nastasia is explaining is changing perceptions.
Yeah.
So your perception to help you drive your performance in anything you do. So it's reversing it. Why is this pissing me off? Is where you start. Second is then, how can I benefit from this? How can I move from this? Not in a selfish way, not in like what's in it for me, but more of, why is this pissing me off? What pissed me off about it? How long did I stay in it? How can I get out of it? And when I recognize it again, because I don't want to feel this way, how can I be aware of that feeling so then I can change my thoughts and my actions? Part of it is also understanding that all of us are not alone. When I say this was some of the big takeaways for me. We have up to 70,000 thoughts per day as just intellectual human beings. 90% of them are tendencies of negativity for survival.
Yeah.
Because our bodies are so fragile. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-programmed that your body wants to take 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And most 90% of them have some kind of fear base to them to keep us in protection. That's why we look both ways to cross the road. We don't touch a hot stove. Like our fears of it trains us for survival. And that's how we should be instinctually. We should always be for survival. But what that limits us on the creativity that Nastasia is discussing on, if we're always thinking survival, we're thinking just naturally negatively for protection, only 10% of your thoughts are going to be for creativity and abundance.
Yeah.
You're shortening your window of happiness.
Yep.
And so you have to start to be in control of those thoughts on a level of understanding how they make you feel, so you can change your actions to either you're going to feed yourself positive affirmations, positive thinking, not just think that happy thoughts, as Nastasia was speaking to, and you'll actually start to see and feel that this is a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
So we want to take you through an example of this change tool, and it's a very simple tool. If you hear yourself saying negative or self-limiting thoughts, if somebody else hears you express something that's unproductive and tells you, hey, like, dude, like, why are you reacting that way? Or we don't need to think about it that way. Or if you notice...
Hold on, Nastasia, I'm going to jump in on this one. The challenge is people feed that shit to you. So when you tell me about a negative situation, oh, I know they're a dick. Oh, I know. Like, we feed off of that.
Okay, but that's where we also then have to now stop saying, hey, I'm not going to talk about that. Or, hey, I don't believe that.
So the takeaway from what we learned was you can't rely on others to help you with your own problems. No. You have to deal with it yourself, because gossip, it's the number one thing. Gossip, I love to like feed off of your negative energy and give you back more of I can't believe that kind of self-talk. Yeah. And again, if we naturally have negative thoughts, you have to be in control of your own thoughts. And then if someone does hear you or listen to you, you have to be the one to ask yourself questions like that. It's very rare you have a partner or someone in your life that says, stop, Nastasia, why are you thinking that way?
Yeah, so of course, this is mostly this is a self
exercise and
self-work that you have to do. But if you're noticing that you're frustrated or angry with a person or a situation, this is a simple tool that you can stop and ask yourself, how can I change that thought? And what you're going to notice through this example that we're going to take you through, that we were taken through, it doesn't just go from really bad thinking to perfect thinking in one try. Typically, you're going to take yourself through this progression of opening the opportunity and opening the way you're thinking about your words and redirecting the things that are coming out of your mouth to then possibly get to the end result where it is a positive, creative, great thought.
Yeah.
But the goal is, even if you don't get through all the way till it goes from like, call it bad to good, you've at least made progress. And every time you use this change tool, what you're going to notice is that you're getting further and further along of having positive thinking.
Number one thing you're going to do is you're going to start to shorten your moods.
Yes.
That's the number one thing that'll happen from it. And that can happen immediately. Taking some of the examples from this change tool that we'll go through, it'll shorten down your mood to where if you're not as pissed off as you were for an hour to now it's 10 minutes,
that's a win.
You got a better life.
Yeah.
So let's go through it.
Okay. So I'm going to be the person that's expressing to you the self-limiting beliefs, and Dominic is going to be my kind of inside voice saying change, so I can start to think through how I can change that self-limiting belief. So here we go. Here's an example. We will never have enough time to get this proposal in on time. You just say change.
Oh. This is like a husband moment right now. I'm like, hold on. What? I'm like, stop thinking that way. Change. Oh my goodness.
All right, we're going to try again. All you're going to do is help me realize I need to change. Okay. We will never get this proposal. We will never have enough time to get this proposal in on time.
Right. Change this. So don't accept this. Give me something different.
Okay. We can probably get most of it done.
So most of it. Is there a way, can you change that even more to what else can happen by the end of the day?
Okay. I can see how it's possible to get this done if we work through midnight.
If you don't get it all done, does it benefit you to get most of it done by midnight?
Okay. We can pull together as a team, divide it up, and then we can have it done by the end of the day.
What would limit that from happening? What different circumstances have to happen?
Okay. I'm so relieved and happy that we were able to work together and have this done by the end of the day. I think that we should go out and celebrate as we get it finished.
Got it. And I'll just be really open here. I don't think I did the best job being your own inner voice. That's actually for an outside coach to come in. But the change tool is where you have to hear yourself. And when you hear yourself with negative self-limiting thoughts, you have to have something that's unproductive. You have to notice your frustrations and have to have someone help you through to put you in a perspective of, even if you, yes, technically in the whole world of circumstances, things can't get done today, how far can you take it? And let's look at the positive.
Yeah.
So that exercise was actually for an outside coach and someone helping you get through this.
So if you think and listen to just some small things that I said, first I said, we'll never have time.
That's right.
Then I moved to, we could probably get it done, which is already a better thought. Still not great, but better. Then I moved to, okay, let's see if we can work until midnight and it might be possible. So now I'm starting to offer like some kind of a solution, even though it's not the best, but I'm moving forward in my progression of my thinking. Then I offer, because now I start getting creative, if we come together as a team, I think we can divide and conquer and have it done by the end of the day. That's creative, positive thinking. And at the very end, I'm putting myself in the future that it's already finished and already been accomplished. And so now let's go from the first. We never have enough time to get this proposal. And now the end, I'm so relieved and happy to know that we worked together and we got it done. Let's go celebrate. So the point is that I'm taking this current moment, which might seem impossible, and I'm putting myself into the future where we've already finished and we've already worked together as a team and we've already got it done and we're going to celebrate. So now we're able to take that emotion, move it into a positive, and then move forward on getting the project done. But even if I got stuck on step 2 or 3 in my change words, I'm still already better. And so the point of where we want you to take away today is that you have to practice this progression of actually changing your thoughts and the emotions that go along with it and working through those feelings to find solutions creatively to actually then get you to an end result that is positive, and you're using not your fight or flight emotions, but you're using your positive problem-solving creative emotions.
Yeah, there's a gentleman named Jack Canfield that writes books called Chicken Soup for the Soul. And it's your self-limiting beliefs of never, this won't happen, it'll never be good for me. Those definitive self-talk of negativity is then finding a way to change yourself through that conversation to where, who says never? Why can't you get done half of it? What can happen with it? And then when you put yourself already at the end that you did accomplish it, now you're just finding the pathway of how fast you can get done. What if we did it? What if we actually accomplished this? Oh my, what's the possibilities? And then you seem to figure it out.
And when we think that way, this is where I'll wrap up with my thoughts. When we think in a way that we can create, and we're not limited to these stress hormones, and when we do have them, we identify them, then we're constantly living in a personality of creation, not a personality of survival. Our temperaments are shortened, and we identify the moods as they occur to redirect them. And overall, where it leads you is more abundance, more happiness, more joy, less stress. And so it all starts with you. So most people don't realize that the power is within you. Don't wait to read a book. Don't wait to get a coach. I mean, do those things. That's great, but that's not where it's going to end. You can't just read the book and expect it to be rectified. The work and the power starts with you to control that mood and not let it move to a temperament and not become the bitch sitting on the couch looking at your husband, asking him if you're a bitch, and he just doesn't know how to tell you yes. And the great news...
That's an awful question to ask a husband. Am I a bitch? Oh, no, baby. Oh, no. That's even worse than, hey, do I look fat in these jeans? That's not fair to any man, nor woman, nor anyone else to be asked by their partner. I think this was amazing. And thank you, Nastasia, for sharing a lot of personal information and personal realities on our podcast, because that's where it's tough to do that. And then that's I'll just say it here. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Amazing work. That's all we got.
We're wrapping up for today, everybody. Don't let your mood become your personality unless if it's a good one.
And save the toilet paper.
We'll talk to you soon.
Gotta
Bye.
go. Bye.